Why is it that so many coaches and consultants hit six figures but still feel stuck? Is it because they're just working harder and taking on more clients? Is it because they're just waiting until someday when they have more income to finally build systems? Or is it because they're chasing passive income ideas that don't actually work? The truth is, most aren't business owners at all. They're still self-employed. And in this episode, we're going to break down what it actually takes to turn from self-employed to a business owner. Let's dive right in. Myth number one, the way to grow is to work harder and take on more clients. Now, I love hard work. I love the value of work itself, and there's nothing wrong with working hard, especially in the beginning. But if that's all you do, it's not going to last very long. You will take on more clients, but you're going to hit a wall. Myth number two, once I hit a certain income, I can relax and then focus on building systems. It's actually the systems that will allow you to relax. So you're never going to be able to relax until you build the systems. Myth number three, passive income is just about launching a course and the money rolls in. I wish it were that simple. I work with a lot of different types of coaches and consultants. So some that come to me and want YouTube help, they've got an established coaching or consulting business. But then there's another side of group that they have a different type of career. Maybe it's a speaking career, or maybe they've just got a lot of experience with real estate investing or construction. And so they want to start getting into coaching and consulting or become a fractional whatever so that they can take all their wisdom, their experience, and help other people with it. And so this idea that we might think is a little simplistic of, hey, I just need to create a course and the money will start rolling in. That's actually a belief held by most of these people, that I just need to create some type of digital asset, some type of a recording or archive of all my wisdom and experience, and people will value it and they'll buy it, and I'm home free. Well, the reality is, it's not that easy. You know your craft, but you don't know your clients. You don't know their businesses, and you don't know anything about coaching or consulting yet. And you don't know anything about transformation and how to leverage a course to create that transformation. So how do you learn those things? It's by getting in the trenches and actually working with people one-on-one. I'm not saying that you shouldn't create a course. I'm not saying that a course isn't a good first step to start making revenue. One of the hardest pieces for people to swallow as they jump into this new type of business venture is the one-on-one sales calls. So if there is a person that is in total need of your help and you create a course, you create a program that's the perfect fit, if you just create a sales page and have that person go to that page, even if they're a perfect fit, it's very unlikely that they will purchase unless it's a very low cost. Let's say it's $25 or $50 or $97. I mean, for something low price like that, they might buy it without you talking with them at all. It's going to be a very low quantity. You might make a sale or two a month like that. But a common price point for a coaching program or some type of consulting package that includes courses and some interaction, it's typically $10,000 or more. And there is no way that even your most ideal dream client, there's no way that if they go to a landing page, are they going to sign up for that without talking to you first. So here's a simple example of how this introduction might work and how I recommend that you go about it. So let's say there's somebody that you've helped. You've got a great client and they tell their friend about it and they refer them to you. So now you've got a referral. So there's this relationship of trust that's there. You schedule a Zoom call with that person. You talk with them and consult, but you're digging into their business. What are their needs? What are their goals? What have they tried so far? Where are they stuck? And you get a good picture of where they're at. Now you're in a much better position to make an offer and have a good percentage of those people purchase your offer. So let me go back in time and share my experiences in transitioning from self-employed to business owner. So first, let me talk about the failure. So I've had this company for over 15 years. For the 6 years prior to that, I worked for a company called World Financial Group. I was an independent contractor. I would not have admitted it at the time, but it was an MLM so that you could recruit and build other financial professionals underneath you on your team. I was not good at that. What I was good at doing was helping people with their finances. I'd help them create their budgets and create their investments and get insurance, and I'd help them map out a good strategy. And so I survived for 6 years making income, self-employed. The way to become a business owner in that world is you have to build a team, and I wasn't good at building that type of team. Now in 2010, when I launched this company, I made the transition to business owner very quickly. Now I wasn't 100%. I was maybe 50 or maybe 40%. But I got to a place where I could really scale, and I built a team. The first service that I offered was custom website design. I had figured out how to design a beautiful website if people would just tell me or show me some examples of websites that they liked. We can go into Photoshop and other softwares and we could create a template that we could show them and saying, hey, is this what you had in mind? So as soon as I figured that out, I hired somebody in the Philippines and I trained them on my system. I found somebody that knew how to use Photoshop and I trained them how to use these other tools. And I created a 4-step system that we would start with a client, and by the end of the 4 steps, the client would have a new beautiful website. There is a right and a wrong timing for things, because if you start a business and you just start hiring people right away to do a lot of things, you haven't figured out what the right way is to do those things. So a few years into my business, we started doing a lot more with video. We knew how to help our clients really get massive results, ranking their videos on YouTube and on Google, and today it works on ChatGPT. And today, I'm not the person behind the camera. With my clients, I'm there helping them prepare for filming, but I'm not there with them on filming day. But guess how many years I did spend behind the camera? So I stayed in that self-employed mode, not business owner mode, when I was in that videographer role. I did that for years, and I figured out the systems, and I figured out how to coach clients, and I figured out what gear I liked and what lighting I liked and how to do things most efficiently. We experimented with all different types. We filmed as little as 5 videos at a time to as many as 37 videos at a time to hone in and know the virtues of filming 20 episodes in a day. I got really good at coaching my clients on their intros and coaching them on the call to action. I got really familiar with their content, and so when they would end short, I would know how to coach them on, hey, why don't you share this story? Or, hey, why don't you answer this question? So because I got so good at that role, when I then hired videographers to help me with that role, I could train them. I could show them what I did, and I could help them run the systems that I'd created. If there were a piece of advice that I could give to myself clear back in the beginning, it would be this. Maybe it's going to sound unusual, but I didn't understand what profit was, and I have a lot better understanding of what it is today. What I thought profit was then is if I've got this many expenses and I have this much income, then it's working. I thought, man, I've got a profitable business. There's something wrong with that, right? I didn't have any money going into savings, not business savings or personal savings. I was basically living paycheck to paycheck. And there were months where my income was lower. There were months where my income was higher, but the next month if it's lower, it evens out. So I went for years thinking I had a profitable business that had zero profit. You only have a profitable business when you have profit, when you have money on top of your expenses, right? And that means that your savings account is going to grow. Or if you're careful, and I'd recommend holding off before doing this, build up your savings a bit, but you can start to take some of that profit and invest in future growth. But just be cautious about doing that. And again, I'd recommend holding off. That might be a topic for another episode. How do you decide what tasks to delegate first when moving away from self-employed mode? It's a tedious exercise to do, but it is so valuable. And I'd recommend just doing it on pen and paper. I mean, you can do it on computer or your phone, whatever, but I do recommend pen and paper. Just write down everything that you do in a day. From checking email to making calls to reviewing this or that or deciding upon that or getting in the business, whether you're cooking or you're editing. List out all the tasks, and then in another column, list the time. How much time do you allocate to that task every day? Maybe calculate it per week as well. It's good to have numbers like that because there might be one task that you only do once a week, but there's other tasks that you do every day, and so having a collective picture of how many hours you're putting into that task per week. What tasks are nuanced that you do differently every time? So it's the same task, but for each person it's drastically different, versus what tasks are very repetitive. You do them the same way every time. So I'll just use a video editing example. If every time when I edit a video, I start trimming it first. I trim off this in the beginning, then when we're done, there's some stuff I got to trim off at the end, and then I cut out all the pauses. That's going to be the same every single time. So maybe you're interviewing a client and you've got certain questions that you ask them, and you've got an intake form or intake system that you do. And every client goes through this exact same system. You just want to look at your entire list, whatever that looks like, whatever items are on your list, what tasks are taking the most time, and what tasks are the most repetitive. The most repetitive means you can create a system, if you haven't already, and you can hire somebody and train them to run that system. Now I know right now in their mind there might be something that pops up that says, oh, my client wants to interact with me, or the quality is not going to be as good. Okay, set those thoughts aside for a second and I'll ask you this question. If you did hire somebody else to do that task, what could you do to still take care of your client? Or what could you do to actually increase the quality of that service? There is a way to do it. You just got to be willing to ask yourself those questions and explore what the answers might be. Something else you might be tempted to do is you look at your list of tasks, you might think, well, there are other tasks that I wish I could do, I just don't have enough time. So maybe I could hire somebody else to do those tasks. And you know what? Down the road, that'll be a really good idea. But to get there, you've got to take something on your list that's taking up some of your time. And when you hire somebody to do that task and you have your own time freed up, it allows you to reassess and readjust your schedule. And maybe you can fit in one of those other things so you can figure that out. But I highly recommend you don't start hiring people to do things that you're not already doing. What systems or processes have given me the most freedom as a business owner? So as I look back over the 15 years of having my self-employed to business journey, I can look back at key systems that I've created, whether it's from website design process or the editing process or the filming process. But the thing that has really helped me make the biggest transition towards being a business owner is when I found leaders. So I'll hire somebody for a role. I've never been able to hire somebody for a leadership position. It's really, really hard to do that. They obviously ask for a lot more income, but they've never really met my expectations. But where it has worked is I hire somebody to run a system that I've created, but then they do something that stands out. They take initiative, they show extra care and concern. They've got their other team members' backs, and they rise up and show themselves as leaders. So then when I can promote that person into a leadership role, they can then lead that team and they can train other people on their teams. It has been a huge game changer in my business when I found people like that. So here's the reality. Going from self-employed to business owner isn't just about working harder, it's about working smarter. It's about knowing your profit numbers, it's about delegating the right tasks, and it's about building systems that give you relief instead of stress. Now the next big question is, how do you actually scale that business without burning out? I've got a full video, I'll link to it right here, that'll actually walk you through that exact process. It's called How to Scale a Coaching Business Without Burning Out. That video is the perfect next step for what we talked about today. I'll see you there.